We got Cody Jinks on the Country versus Metal podcast. How you doing, man?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. I was saying thank you again for adjusting to my schedule. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, dude. Thank you for doing this, and also thank you for doing podcasts because there's a lot of articles written about you, but not a lot of interviews. Did I find? But I did find that you have ramped up doing the podcasts, and I listened to a bunch of them, and I was like really trying, to do something different so you're not regurgitating the same thing, the same over and over. So it keeps it interesting for you. So the fans can have that access without you getting burned out of, being the broken record of everything. It's cool. It's cool to hear your personality as well, because it's nice to know that like you can introduce your artist to your parents. You know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and speaking to the podcast as well, we did that before. We did that like we did 60 something of them during the COVID times, and I love being on the end that you're on as well, and really grew to love that. So I'd probably rather do what you're doing than what I'm doing in terms of being on that end of the interviewee. I really enjoyed doing that, and I thank you for having me on. But yeah, we just finished up working on some kind of. I guess it would be kind of described as a live podcast. We're going to be doing the video and the audio, but sitting down with songwriters is kind of a songwriter interview and a songwriter type of situation. And we just shot the first four of those, and we'll start releasing those at the beginning of 2025. But it puts me back in the interviewer chair, so I missed that a little bit after the podcast.
Yeah, it's fun, and like I try to keep these like a conversation, not like like an interview type.
Yeah,
But yeah, listening to you on the podcast, I've been to Texas twice now, and the first time I went to Texas, I was like, "Where's the accent?" Then I listened to your podcast with Adam Hood, and you were talking about the Texas accent, and like you can't like unlearn how to read, and I can't unhear you emphasizing like how you say like time
time
now.
five. Yeah,
The eyes, yeah,
eyes. Yeah.
that's all I heard. I was like, thanks, Cody. There it is. It was there playing daylight.
It's true, and the South is funny just in and of itself. You have the Deep South, which you know, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana is kind of they have their own thing going on. Texas kind of has its own thing going on. Um, Florida's obvious they have their own kind of thing or not thing at all really, but yeah, the Deep South into the Carolinas, they kind of have their own thing too. So it's funny, but because Texas is so big, I can tell you like East Texas has the most predominant of the Texas thing I think that you hear. But yeah, it's funny. It's got its own thing going on. Where are you from? Where do you live?
Delaware.
You're in Delaware.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. There's it's a really big New England, a lot of metal up there. We have our guitar player Jake is he's from outside of Boston, and he's been in rock and metal bands his most of his career, and cut his teeth up that way. A lot of metal up there.
Yeah, not a lot of country, but I will say out of like all the artists I've done, outside of like like Parker McCollum and Cody Johnson, the independent, if somebody was to say a name that I would know that was like the independent Texas country artist, it would definitely be you, because I have friends that they know who you are, and my one buddy who I play music with, like we actually put your songs on our set list, and I'm surprised he hasn't like climbed through my window. Just he would have so many questions for you, because he's trying to do the same thing you've been doing.
Yeah.
But because
Well, doing what I'm doing came from how I do things is still very punk and metal. How, the
Yeah.
DIY thing. That was a page. That's right out of the Rock and Roll Handbook 101.
Yeah, I definitely you take fan support over like corporate influence. And I love that. And like it's fun. You ever see the movie like Felon?
Which one?
Felon.
No.
Well, it's like a good guy, he goes to prison and he finds like he needs protection. So he joins it, he joins a clique, and then he gets put somewhere else and he's in a cell with a guy that he he is part of no clique. And he can go out, not get jumped. Everybody respects him. And I was like, that's Cody Jinks. You know what I mean? Like you can headline a country festival and you can go play with Zach Wild. Now, is that more your music or more like your fans are just like hybrids of loving both genres?
Yes, I think all of the above. We've been very fortunate because I'm from the South, and being from the South, we have honky tonk music, and honky tonk obviously, isn't just flat out rock or metal, but it's honky tonk has country, rock, blues, all of it in. And my dad always told me, he said, you got to keep them on the dance floor, and um, no matter what, you got to make them feel something, move something, and just musically, to me, everything was a grab bag. Whenever I was a kid, it was always, if it was good, it was good. If it moved you, it moved you. Um, and I just took, obviously my country influence, and then kind of my rock and metal and punk mindset, and became whatever it is we are now. But we're one of those bands, like you said, we've always been able. You can put us in a country bar, we're going to be great. You can put us in a rock and roll club, we're going to be great. You can put us in a blues bar, we're going to be great. You can put us in a biker bar, we're going to be fine. We can play with anybody. We play with the countryest of the country people. With the Clint Blacks and the whoever's. We could go on and on and on. But like you said, play with Clutch and Zach Wild and Corrosion of Conformity. We are an anomaly, and that's not just tooting our own horn. It's just what we are. We're a product of American music, and our band is comprised of a bunch of really weird kind of different eclectic kinds of music. Our drummer Dave runs the radio most of the time after the shows on the bus, and he's always listening to something really weird. So it's just, we've got blues guys and country guys and rock and roll guys, and all just indie. Dave was an indie rock guy in a band called the Heartless Bastards for years and years. We have one of the best country picking guitar players in Chris Clarity. We have Jake Lettner, who's a metalhead through and through, on the other lead guitar. And to hear those guys work together, you wouldn't think it would work, but it's just insane fun. And then you throw in Hot Rod, who is Hot Rod's arguably the best steel player in the world. And he won't tell you that. He'll tell you there's a couple of people better than him. But um, dude, when you take just those three guys just on their guitar, because we're a guitar band,
Yeah.
it's insane. All the different kinds of everything. You can hear our influences from Keith Whitley to Motorhead, and we're just an American band. We have so much fun doing what we do.
Yeah. I've seen you live a couple of times and it works. The first time I saw you live, one of the coolest moments was you looked at a guy and go, hell yeah, man. Slayer. Cool shirt. It's one of my favorite bands. And I was like, it's something that simple. I was like, That's awesome. You know, because coming from that side of it, I would never, because I'd heard the snap clap track, you know, to country to me was like achy breaky heart. And
Mhm.
I'd heard like I got friends in low place, which it's just not me, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of the equivalent of, I guess you would say like, oh, I've heard Inner Sandman, and I've heard, whatever, insert rock and roll or metal song there. To most people, it's like, yeah, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, I've heard that. It's to you, it was Achy Breaky Heart, or insert another, Friends in Low Places, or whatever. Yeah, it goes both ways with the different kinds of music,
Yeah.
but that's what's fun, because it's like, man, yeah, Inner Sandman's great. Everybody knows that. Friends with Low Places is great. Everybody loves that song. It's a sing along. It's the same kind of song. You could probably go the rest of your life without hearing it and be fine. It's kind of like, I don't know, Kashmir, or I mean, like, there's just certain songs we've heard them. They're great, but go back and listen to Kill 'Em All, or go back and listen, to whatever, old stuff, just dig in. And the wealth of country music, because country music really, if you look at just music lineage overall, modern country music has only been what it's doing right now for the last 100 years. It started with Jimmy Rogers, and doing the bit of the singing lineman and whatnot. That was the first kind of country rock star we had back in the day. And um, fast forward 30 years, you've got Chuck Berry doing what Chuck Berry did and started that. And then, metal started, real metal as we know it today. And forgive me if I'm wrong, or this is my humble opinion. I've learned to say that in this business. But, real metal as we know it today starts and ends with Sabbath. Um, we can split hairs all day, but like modern country music as we know it right now, we have not Jimmy Rogers to thank, but we have guys like Hank Williams and Lefty Frizzell to thank for that. Sprinkle some Bob Wills in and stuff like that. But modern metal music as we know it today, and you could argue that something Stone Cold Crazy perhaps was the first thrash song. I don't know. I've heard that argument, but that didn't happen until late 60s. And so you're looking at two types of music that neither one of them are really that old,
Yeah.
especially metal music.
Yeah.
And taking the mentality of metal music, and putting it, like, and weaving that into the fabric of my country music, that's helped us create a grassroots effort that gives us the country music equivalent of Slayer fans.
Yeah. Because I know we're around the same age. And like when we were growing up, like the heavy metal and all that, it became like diplomatic. Oh, like the Live at Moscow, you see just so many people. And man, I just remembered like just seeing that. And I don't know if that ever affected you, like the crowds, the lifestyle. And it's like what I like about you, people were like, Cody's the one that wanted to get out of Texas. And like seeing that, like when you're growing up, was that like a big thing? Like why do I just want to take over one state when I could take over the world? And I don't know, it's just something about just remember seeing that, just like everyone, hey, just how,
I just wanted to be different. I wanted to be different
yeah,
from everybody. But the thing about getting out of Texas, and kind of back when the Texas red dirt scene in the early 2000s was really ramping up, with guys like Randy and Wade and Stoney and Boland and Cross Canadian Ragweed, who are all, I've played with all of them. They're all, I'll say they're all friends or at least buddies or acquaintances. I couldn't compete with them. And it was a market because those guys have made predominantly have made their living in the South, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, kind of that region. And I was more of a Henry Rollins kind of get in the van and go type of dude. Um, I thought that if I could have, because like I said, man, I'm a honky tonker through and through, and I say I don't know if I have a country heart and a metal soul or vice versa, but I knew that I wasn't going to bang my head against the wall. When I finally did establish a foothold in country music, or at least whatever my brand of music is, because I was covering stuff I grew up on, Merle Haggard songs and stuff like that, and George Strait songs, and stuff that I still do, and stuff that still I love to play live. But I had to get out of Texas, and so I took the get in the van and go attitude from you know ultimately Rollins or Black Flag, and I applied it to my rock and roll country music. And we just stayed on the road. A lot of people don't realize that we were on the road. We were on the road longer than we have been successful. If that blows a lot of people's minds. We were on the road for 10 years,
Wow.
poor and broke and riding around in an old Winnebago, not making any money and going further and further into debt before we hit. We hit when I was 37 years old. I'm only 44 now. That's been 7 years ago, 8 years ago. We did it for 10 years before we even had any sort of success, like mainstream.
Yeah. So 10 years on the road. How long is that in like real years? It's
I'm 44 now. I'm more like probably 68 or 69. I don't know.
yeah.
We did it the hard way. Nobody did it harder, and I think that was a badge of honor for us as well. Nobody went harder than we did. No, I don't, genre of music. I don't give a fuck. You can put any name, any band. We did it harder than they did. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And that's just the spirit, man. Not a lot of people like have that entrepreneurial, like, just get in, put the miles down, and even if they don't love us, they will one day. Just never.
We very much had that. We very much had every town we went into, and still do, still have that fight. That's why I know I'm not done. I still feel like I need to go, and even if it's a town I've been in, I've been doing this 25 years, so I've been to all of them basically. Every time we go back, I don't feel like I'm fighting so much to win that town over. I'm fighting to win the new people that are in that town that haven't seen us before. I'm fighting every time we go back that if you've seen me 10 times, I want you to come see me an 11th, 12th, 13th time. I want to keep earning the right to play for you. The band wants to keep making the show better. We want to give you the songs you want to hear, but we want to hit you with the old songs that you forgot about. We want to hit you with the new songs that are hopefully kicking ass. It's a country show. It's a rock and roll show with mostly country music,
Yeah.
and it's fun. It's just like I said, we're a grab bag. We've just taken so many elements of different types of music. And, if you want to know how we kind of have modeled our show is go watch it. And I'm not going to compare us to them at all, but it's like you had Garth Brooks changed everything with Chris Ledoux. Chris Ledoux, Garth Brooks started putting on Chris Ledoux's show because he was like, that's awesome. And Chris Ledoux
Yeah.
put on a rock and roll show, just like we're doing. But if you want to see one of the most fun shows, go watch an Anthrax show. They're doing this. They're just If
I've
you speed up the camera, like the guys are doing this, and
really,
that's what that's what I wanted to give our country artists too. It's we can slow down and we can like our band can take a waltz and just make it look badass. Like it still sounds like a waltz, but you know we move and we're rocking out. Like we have guys that get up there like we are rocking out. And we're having fun, man.
yeah. I have to ask, and now when you were playing in Texas and Rita showed up, was that an actual dime guitar that he played?
It's right there. It's right. That's it.
Okay.
See that hanging right there? That's the first of this year's new Dean Zielinski dime guitars. That's the
Okay.
first one Dean gave to Rita to be played on stage. That's actually the one I played at Berserkus. And it's serial number I think 3 or 4. It was one of the first production models that Dean let out, and so yeah, Rita gave that to me, Pennsylvania, a month ago for that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's that guitar.
Yeah. I haven't seen her in like any media outlet for a while. It was really cool to see that she's still out there doing the music thing, and they're still continuing the legacy
Oh yeah, I mean,
of that.
she's keeping it alive, man. She's a sharp lady. We just did a lot of cross promo with her. Um, she's got her the Blacktooth whiskey, um, that obviously Dime with the Blacktooths and all that, and
Yeah.
so yeah, she said, "Hey, could we take your song Must Be the Whiskey?" And she said, "Would you do Must Be the Blacktooth?" And I said, "I'll do you one better." I said, "We'll record it live in Pennsylvania at Berserkus, and I'll just give you the audio." And so, if that tells you anything, that's a handshake deal. I let her use that song for free with no agreement. Most people would get sued over that, but that's what I think about of Rita, and having played the club Diamond Benny used to own coming up with Unchecked Aggression, the metal band I was in. Um, spending the small amount of time hanging around Dime the couple times I did. The reason I treat my fans the way I do is because of Dimebag, really, and the way that he always treated his fans. And um, you know, Rita and I over the years, we have a working relationship now as well. Actually, our merch team's getting some new merch stuff done up for her. But man, she's the salt of the earth. She's Dom was all about love, man. Like he really was. He was wild and crazy and drank a lot, but that dude loved. He loved music and he loved his fans, and she's just he lives through what she's got going on now. And as a fan first, and now here we are all these years later, and our paths have crossed again, and a lot of that and everything's very serendipitous. I think that you can throw stuff out into the cosmos and have things happen, and they could whatever it is, it's a cosmic thing, it's a God thing, it's whatever. People's paths get intertwined, and she's just one of my favorite people, man.
Yeah. It. Yeah. I still remember like hearing the story of the tragedy and everything, and like you said, that dude, he just, I don't know. I loved watching him play. I love watching him do workshops.
Mm-hmm.
He would do something like, that you're a guitar player playing
Yeah.
Pantera, just the riffs.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much pick a guitar up, spend a couple of months, be a beginner, and play the riffs. Now, when you get into the leads, now we're talking, and I just the way how effortlessly and just your jaw would be on the floor, and he'd be like, something like that, dude. Like,
Yeah, man, you still like that, dude.
yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Now,
That's how
guys,
you do it.
if
Enough
you
said.
don't like this, just pull this down and I'm like, I
Man, you see
just,
this hammer on thing, man. You just grab it, hit that squid, whee,
yeah,
and like you're like sitting there going, "Yeah, well, you can do that. You're
yeah,
great at that. That's why you're doing the video."
yeah. I love when he talked about moving his fret markers up because he liked playing like at what F sharp,
F, yeah,
just.
yeah.
He said, just move 'em, dude.
Did
I was
move?
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's never going to be another one like him. And
yeah,
anyway, like I said, uh, just seeing firsthand how that guy treated his fans because I was one, and just getting to just to talk to him briefly the couple of times I was blessed to do that. Make I make no. We were not friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to be around him in my early 20s a couple of different times, but I was always watching people. I was always, there's certain things in my life that have happened that have really helped shape where I am now and how I treat people now. Dime is one of those people. Jake the Snake Roberts, the wrestler, he's one of those people. I met him when I was 16 or 17 years old, and he made a huge impression on me, as did Dime. So, yeah, it's important. And but going back to just that guitar back there and just carrying on a legacy of anytime you can carry on a legacy of love, it's because it worked to begin with. It will continue. It's
yeah,
not like if that guy would have been a raging fucking dick, like,
yeah. Nobody would have remembered him.
or yeah, it would have been like, oh, he was a great guitar player. At
Yeah,
the end, you know.
it definitely love transcends through time,
Yeah.
and like it, when you have you'll remember the special moments, not the times someone just was like, "Get out of here," You just,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
I
I'm in the
mean,
music business, man. I've been told no so many times in my life that it's you
yeah,
can't even forget. You just don't forget. You just forget that stuff, man. Just focus on the positive things.
yeah. I tell you what, no one has ever said anything bad about you when I brought it up, and there's nothing in Google too.
I
You know
could
what I mean?
find.
Like,
I could find you. I could find you right now. I could find you at least 3 or 4 people that probably would not piss on me if I was on fire. I could come. I could come up with a couple of names. But no, yeah, I try to be pretty cool. There's not a lot of that out there. I would certainly hope not.
yeah,
I really do. Even if I don't like you, I try not to talk shit about you.
yeah, yeah. You're just waiting till you're on the bus.
That's right. You know what? There's people in my life that know exactly what I think about politics, about certain people. There's people, I'm married to one of them and she keeps all my secrets. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty diplomatic, especially it's funny because coming into an election year and still being on the road, and I'll be going to Canada actually right after our election. So that's going to be funny because we're having the election, and then 2 days later, I'm going to Canada. So that'll be interesting to see what's said up there. I like to be a fly on the wall, and so I have obviously in this business, artists are by nature typically more liberal leaning side of people. I know some very, very conservative artists. I know some very, very liberal. I'm friends with all of them. You'll never really hear anything about that kind of stuff at our shows
Yeah,
because I'm kind of one of those dudes. It's like um, we're entertainers. I don't do commentary. Nothing I say is going to change your ideas about who you're going to vote for. Like, why would I say anything? So, in terms of not being a rabble rouser, because it's easy whenever you have a more staunchly conservative crowd all the time, like in country music. It's probably a more conservative crowd by and large, but not completely. So, you can go out there and you can whip anybody up into a frenzy about anything you want to, you know. But to me, that's not being a good master of ceremonies. I don't think. I think here's another thing that's so damn funny about what we do is that you can say any, like look. Okay, I know Dave Mustaine's gotten in trouble for being too political over the years, right?
Yeah.
Not in trouble, but dude, I love Megadeth. I love Dave. But look at the Peace Sells video, and the dad walks in, he's like, I want to watch the news, and he's like, this is the news. I love that, and that's for Dave to do,
Yeah.
like I don't know that it was going this side or whatever. But if I'm going to sing anything, I'm going to sing more about the separation of what we have going on. Like I'm going to sing about the underlying disdain that everybody's feeling, no matter which side you're on. We can all
Yeah.
feel the it's not the era of good feelings anymore. It's the era of fuck you, and like what's going on right now is like if you've seen Ghostbusters 2, and they have that pink ooze that's flowing under New York City, and
And
when
he's
the
yell at
Ghostbuster
it.
guys go down to investigate, they fall in it, and then they start fighting with each other, and
Yeah.
the whole world's just got a bunch of that ooze going on right now, and politicizing everything.
Yeah.
You're weaponizing the media, and those should be the first people that should be defunded. They're not even journalists anymore. They're actors, and they have scripts. And this guy worked for CNN 10 years ago and was liberal as hell, and now he's working for Fox, and he's all company guy. It's like, dude, come to my show. I'm gonna give you 3 hours to get away from that shit, dude.
Yeah. Just enjoy yourself.
Yep.
But yeah, it's funny. Like I have seen Dave Mustaine say some things, and I just like roll my eyes. I'm like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
just
let him do it, man.
yeah,
You know what? Hey, man, Cody Johnson goes out and gives a heck of a speech about not giving a shit about what Hollywood thinks, and all that. Hey, man, there's a lot of things that I agree with. There's some things I don't agree with, but like, he's good at that.
yeah,
Like, I don't know, dude. Some people can do it. Listen to Jason Isbell. He goes out. He's on the other side. I happen to think both those guys are incredible. Two of my favorite writers to write with, Josh Morningstar and Tennessee Jet, who do get along very well because they're both incredibly nice human beings and would be the first person to help anybody. One of them is way over left and one of them's way over right.
yeah,
Guess what? They're the two best guys I write with, and the songs that we write, you can't tell. You can't tell who thinks what. You know why?
yeah,
Because we're trying to write great songs, man. It's like everything gets thrown in your face these days, and everybody wants to be up in arms about something. When you want to be up in arms about something, you can be. Things are tough enough right now. I had 2 meetings this morning about how hard touring is right now for every band. I'm talking genre specific out the window. Touring for bands right now is tough, no matter what genre you're in. The money has gone down. People have tightened up the budgets, and man, it's record companies are looking for alternate ways, by clicks to try to bring revenue in. It's expensive to send bands. Like I had a meeting because, like, dude, my operating costs this last year for touring live Like it should be around 25%. It was about 35%
Oh wow.
because the cost of touring has gone up so much. Hotels have gone up. Those tour buses are expensive. Those plane rides are expensive. And it's tough, man. It's tough. So the crowd feels that. We're trying to get it to where next year when we play all these amphitheaters, we have a set cost that even if you can't afford to get a seat, you can go sit on the lawn for not very much money, still see us play. Like we're trying to do as many things as we can to just ride the wave because all we can do is sit back and wait as artists. When COVID came, we were deemed non-essential.
Yeah.
So, with things right now, no matter who gets elected, um, shit's going to be weird for a while because you're going to have to He's going to have the oh shit moment for everybody to freak out no matter what happens. And then things will level back out after that. But just the air of dissension right now is kind of is harder right now than the whole economy thing. Just the underlying tone of how people feel is this year also, and I'm kind of just one run-on sentence, but I've been coast to coast 3 times this year. Um, we're flying back and forth. My truck drivers and my bus drivers have been on the road going all year, up and down, left and right. But listen, man, people are divided more so on TV than they are in real life. Like when you go everywhere we go, like people are nice to me. They're glad that I'm there. I'm glad to be playing for them. I don't give a shit, who they vote for or whatever. My cat just walked through the living room. That's not normally that bad, except he's an outside cat. Oh well. Anyway, but yeah, man, people in this country, man, like I think that everything is so sensationalized. I don't think it's quite as bad. I think that if people stop watching the damn news, they'll
Yeah.
and go out and actually talk to your neighbor and have a conversation. You realize, at the end of the day, it sounds so cliche. We have so much more in common than we thought we did. And that just the country versus metal thing. I've been saying
Yeah.
for freaking years. It's like, dude, you have no idea how similar a cloth the people that. Okay, when I was growing up, the same kids that were waiting in line with me to go get George Strait tickets were waiting in line with me to go get Metallica tickets. It was the same kids, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that? Waiting at the window?
Hey, we used to have to go to the Foley's, the Ticketmaster at Foley's before Ticketmaster had $800 million charges.
Yeah.
And you remember the good old days? But well, yeah, dude. My wife and I were talking about that the other day because we took we take our kids to see shows all the time. Like we if I'm not on the road, we're trying to go. We just went and saw Taylor Swift the other day in Miami. Before that, we saw Live and STP are out this year. Um, I'm just, dude, we we try to go see as many shows as we can, but telling our kids, we used to wait for hours. Like
Yeah.
at the Ticketmaster, in the Foley's, in Northeast Mall, and those of you in North Fort Worth are going to go, I waited at that Foley's. But that's what we did, man.
It's crazy. Like even like waiting for it didn't matter if it was like a Sam Goody, the wall, you having to wait for the mall, or like even Best Buy, standing
Blockbuster
in line,
music.
and you're like, man, I hope these people aren't here to get what I'm here for. And every time like I'd be running over and I'm like, man, no one's going over this section for like and I remember release dates like Megadeth Euthanasia. That was like a Halloween. And it was like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I find myself like I don't even go get groceries sometimes. There's an app for that, and it's like man, and I'm not an inside person. It's just weird. Like I'll just be sitting around, just like I gotta go outside. Like I,
Yeah.
like I'm not a big outdoorsman, but I like to be outside. But
You
yeah,
need to be outside. Humans need outside time. Like your body
yeah,
needs the vitamin D. Your
yeah,
senses. You need to feel and hear and see and smell and touch and take your shoes off and walk through the grass. It's like humans. Whether you're an outside. 'Cause my daughter doesn't ever go outside. My son's outside constantly. My daughter's never outside. But yeah, you need to go outside.
yeah.
That was a very stoner thing to say, man. You just got to go outside, bro.
Go outside. You ain't got no friends. Get a boomerang.
There you go.
Oh man, dude, I wanted to ask since, like I said, we grew up the same time. Now, around like the '90s, how did you feel? Like you were like a lead guitarist for your thrash metal band, right?
Rhythm and lead vocals.
Rhythm and lead. Okay.
Rhythm and lead vocals. Yeah, no lead guitar playing in my repertoire, but yes, metal. In the metal band, I was rhythm guitar and lead vocals. Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel when, like, to be in a metal band back like '80s and the '90s, you had to have like a guy who could play. Then grunge came out, and they're like, no lessons, just start a band, write songs. They just kind of threw out all the technical side of music. It was almost kind of like it felt like overnight. And how did you feel? Like, because I know how I love playing lead guitar, and I just remember being like, I miss that, like, because like when you had like your Dimes and George Lynch's and Steve Vai and like all the guys that could play
Mm-hmm.
anything, and then it came out like I love Nirvana and
Mm-hmm.
all, like Soundgarden and everything, but it just was weird how that all just kind of like they, like you said, like back with like state like Motley Crue, like they, like the Tommy Lee be upside down, and all
Mm-hmm.
like the big pyrotechnics, the shows and the theatrics of like Pink Floyd. And then it came out, it was like put on a dirty cardigan and just play. You know what I mean? Like it was a
Yeah,
weird.
I'm like, and I love Nirvana and the grunge stuff as well. I would say Alice in Chains and Soundgarden are two of my favorite bands, regardless
Yeah.
genre specific. Um, I'm a sucker for a lead. Um, you know, not to, you know, bash on a record or anything, but when Saint Anger came out, there was a lot of different things about that record, but not having leads was one of them. And I was one of those people going, what?
Yeah.
And it was. We're a guitar band. We have three guys on stage that can play lead on. I mean, just we have three lead guitar players essentially on stage. If you want to throw our steel player in there, and we triple lead a lot of stuff with two lead guitars and a steel. We
Yeah.
do a lot of really crazy stuff like that. So um, I'm not one of those guys that whenever the grunge thing came out said grunge killed metal or hard rock or grunge killed, because at that time, you know, the you know the 80s, the thrash bands owned the 80s and the hair bands owned the 80s, and they used to make fun of each other. And then the 90s came along, and there's going to be some sort of changing of the guard, and it was the grunge thing, and it was the flannels and the mopey teenager and the Seattle sludge and the you know that was when I was in high school, and being from where we had a big heroin problem in this part of the country, and that was being exacerbated because Kurt Cobain had just done all that, and it was kind of being celebrated in music in term, Lane. Um, so I'm not one of those guys that said grunge killed anything. I think that there was going to be a little bit of changing of the guard anyway. I think that was inevitable, but being from where I'm at as well, I grew up, 30 minutes from Pantego, which is where Pantera was from. I'm not going to sit here and say Pantera saved metal in the 90s, but they damn sure were a huge support system because the groove oriented thrash thing that Dom and Vinny were doing together was very, very helpful for metal music in the 90s, and then getting on in the late 90s when you had Tool come through and do what Tool had been doing at that point for a decade, or almost a decade, but then really opening up a lot of things. And they were playing big places, bands like Pantera and Tool, and Metallica became Metallica, and metal bands now don't even Metallica's Metallica. If you talk to anybody, it's like the biggest metal bands in the world. Like I was talking with Mark Morton from Lamb of God. I've done a couple of songs with him for a side project for his. It's really cool stuff. But you know that when you're in a band like Lamb of God, in a band like Slipknot, you're in some of the biggest metal bands in the world, and even those guys are like. And then there's Metallica. Look, it's like you may be a really, really successful country artist, but you're not Garth Brooks and you're not George Strait, So there's just different, echelons. But as far as where, rock and roll and metal are now, I don't know where everything can go. Everything's kind of a hodgepodge right now. And I'm not one of those guys that's trying to infuse country and metal together. I've always just been one of those people that's like, no, we have the same fans.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think rock and roll right now sucks about as hard. Like there is nothing right now that's coming out that I'm just like, dude, everything sounds so ballless.
Yeah.
Like
I
I am
feel the same
so
way.
sick of weak rock. Like, oh man, it drives me nuts. Nothing has a pair of balls in, unless you get into like some like there's some good punk bands out there right now that that I really dig. That is kind of getting back to maybe the Black Flag or the Misfits type of thing. Or that never died anyway, but maybe coming back out because of the time. It's like when punk got so big in the mid to late '70s. Because like in Europe, there was all the dissension in London, and so you had all these angry Brits, and they were bringing it over here. Then we had the Pistols and the Ramones, and it was the '70s, and we were out of the love and peace era of the '60s, dude. And now it's like this place is fucked, So maybe we're gonna get back to some good gritty ass rock and roll because of this. I don't know.
Yeah, I tell you what, grunge, right? Like if I was to like think of like a band that came out that has like a cool grunge sound, definitely Dexter and the Moon Rocks. I
They're
love those
great.
guys.
They consider themselves cosmic country. It's funny, they were we rode on an airplane not long ago with them, and they were actually I love those guys. We do their merchandise, by the way. So this wasn't
Oh,
a
okay.
plant. We're not. Yeah, actually, I've known those guys. Their manager Chris and I have known each other and been friends for. Chris and I worked together for almost a decade.
Oh,
But
wow.
he's still with Dexter and the Moon Rocks, and they still merchandise out of my warehouse. But it was funny; they ended up being on the same flight. I don't remember where we were, and I got on an airplane like I always do, and put my like that, And
Incognito.
they're all filing through, and I hear, "Is that Cody Jinks?" And I look up, and it was them. Like, hey guys, what are you doing? But yeah, they're the cosmic country type of thing, and it's kind of a grab bag, and what they do is badass, man. I wish the best for them. They're so much fun. They're great dudes too.
Yeah, yeah. I was waiting with Fox we were waiting for you, and I don't know what happened because I was like, Fox, what are you doing? And we were backstage, and he's like, oh, I'm waiting for Cody. I wanted to personally thank him for getting us on this bill, and I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I've never met him. I've met a couple of the guys from his band. I said, I'll hang out, and I don't think I probably ended up talking to Drew, and then
Yeah.
that was a wild time. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I've seen them a bunch of times. They're coming back up around here next month, well, November, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, they're a good one. They're gonna be fun to watch for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, and like the late '90s, that old sound, Texas and like the Oklahoma guys, they're doing all the stuff like I used to love. Like I just saw Giovanni and
Yeah.
the higher. I always say they sound like Blink 182 if they were raised by Roughnecks.
That's
But I
funny.
love that. I love that sound, like Cody West,
Yeah.
and even like Austin Mead, and like that whole sound. It was like stuff I'd found. I because a lot of music nowadays, like you said, it's like plastic sounding. Everything sounds the same. Like they're all using the same like. Just like the radio formula. This worked before. Let's do this. Let's not go out of the box. You know,
Yeah.
back in the day, you could turn on the radio and hear an amp, hear a riff, and be like, "That's AC/DC. That's Metallica. That's
Dude,
a
you know what
Marshall."
pisses me off about metal bands today? So many metal bands are using tracks and samples now. And like, dude, keep that shit out of metal music, dude.
I,
I
I
don't, I don't get it. And there's some of the bands that I'm not gonna name names because that's rude. And no, there's a lot of people that don't like my music, but yeah, that's really what's like. There's no rock and roll with balls these days that I can find. That like I need a front man that's gonna make me like, dude, give me a. Is there a front man out there right now, like a Scott Weiland, that's going to make me just go, whoa, that made my nipples hard? No, there's not. Like, like there's a ton of good metal, and I love searching for metal and like right now I'm a big goth fan, and I always have been. So right now this time of year, man, it's like Typo Negative and Sisters of Mercy and
dude, I love
Bauhaus
Sisters of
and
Mercy.
Joy Division, and we're listening to all this cool old shit on the turntable right now. But like the new metal, like I don't know, man. It's either everybody's laying down samples now because that's what everybody else is doing, or they just try to sound like somebody else, or they're you can tell a lot of bands are trying to sound like a record label wants them to sound, because record labels are great at taking people and going, "Hey, you're really cool. We love everything about you. We're going to change it."
You're gonna change it, yeah.
And then you're going to be what our idea is of. See, and that's country, metal, rock, any genre. That's what's really happened. Metal, the record labels, period, used to be run by people that knew music. They're not anymore.
Yeah,
Some of them still are, the smaller ones, but the bigger ones are run by business people.
yeah,
And the business people that don't play anything, that are told by the people that are looking for algorithms, this is what's selling, this is what we need to do, this is what we can jam down everybody's throat. And so you have lackluster rock and roll, and you have a bunch of samples in your metal, and then you have country music. And no offense to at all, like the Jelly Rolls and the Post Malones and stuff like that, but all the record labels have their people. Like we got to write a song with Post Malone. We got to write a song with Jelly Roll because that's
yeah,
what's hitting right now, and that's what's going to make that record label some money right now, even if it's a subpar song. So my own genre is guilty of doing that, and probably is more so than most genres right now. Country's looking for any sort of credibility. That's why there's not a CMA or an ACM or any kind of award show that has anything to do with country music that doesn't have pop stars.
yeah. It's
Like that's all well and good, but it is, I guess it is it is what it is, you know, and that's
Yeah,
what they do.
they're eating themselves alive because outside of that world, people are starting to realize that the music that they miss and loved and held dear, it's out there. It's just
Yeah,
unfortunately you have to go look for it,
you do.
and
Yeah.
and that's what I really like. I've been trying to do it because people are like, "How come you don't do this? How come you do that?" And I'm like, "No, man. Like there's somebody out there like me." It's funny you say like around this time of year is like goth. It made me think like I'm gonna go listen to the 69 Eyes and stuff like that. Like,
I love 69 Eyes. That's a great band
yeah,
because you can't listen to 69 Eyes and go, well, tell me those guys weren't Sisters of Mercy fan. You know, it's like,
yeah,
dude, it's Sisters of Mercy 2.0. You
yeah,
know, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I love 69 Eyes. Man.
yeah, and I, we there's people out there that they've they just lived in that world because the stuff they heard or saw on these shows are just not, and that's like the one thing like from loving heavy metal and then getting into the Texas thing and the country is like normally you would go up to a metal guy and be like, "Oh man, those lyrics were brutal," And I've gone up. I remember someone was like, "Oh, I assume you know Tanner Usry." I was like, "Yeah, I met him before." I was like, "He made me cry," and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah, and did." And I've been meaning to apologize for that because like a week later, I thought about what I'd said, and I said, "You know what? He wrote that song from a story of his life, from an emotional," and I felt like a scumbag. I was like, "Man, I heard." I imagine he knows that I didn't mean anything about it, but like that's like the difference. It's like as an artist, like you write these songs and it's pieces of like your being, and but from my point of view, I'm like, oh, that's what it's different of just the content and
Well,
the
yeah, but you saying that a song that that he had that made you cry. I know Tanner, and like we did a lot of shows with him this year. And actually, we're going to do a lot of shows with him next year. Nobody knows that yet. There's a little fun fact for you. But yeah, man, you saying that to a guy like him, he would probably go, "Cool," like because that's what I would think. I'd be like, "Good, I'm doing my job."
yeah. Yeah, that was like the first time I had like just that feeling in the chest. I was like, whoa, because from what I've listened to, like I'm not like a real big lyric guy. I like the groove and the melody, and I listen from like the percussion up, and like the lyrics are always the last thing. And I think that's like why like a lot of people like because a lot of people would be like, I'll be listening to a song and be like, oh, I hear this, I hear that, and they're like, man, we never heard that.
Hmm.
But like sometimes I'll just totally miss lyrics, and it's just like it's just not something I'm used to. Of
Well, a funny thing as an artist, as the guy that's and you play, I think you said you play, but as a guy that's on stage, watching how people react to some of our songs, like a song specific, we have a song called David, and the music to David is really really fun. The so people that don't know the words are dancing and like like
yeah,
the people that are listening to the words are crying. So you got half the people are going, "Yeah, the song rocks," and the other half of people are going, "Oh my god, this is the saddest thing ever."
I had the same experience with Broken Window Serenade. I was like, oh, this sounds like old time Eagles, and I'm like
Mhm.
loving the harmonica and everything. And then I see all the comments. I'm like, what? And I re-listened to it. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that yeah, David. That's it. As my buddy would say, it's one of the greatest modern story songs.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate that. I don't know if you were familiar with. I mentioned him a while ago. Jason Boland,
Hmm.
Jason Boland and the Stragglers. If you just want to hear some far out kind of stuff, man, just up to his new record, "The Light Saw Me," but you know, as and just knowing what I know about you and your history and what I've been told or whatever, and you kind of starting this whole thing on because of the country thing and trying to learn more about it. Jason's one of my favorite. I would urge you to listen to the Dark and Dirty Mile. The record as a whole is in my opinion one of the greatest country music records that we've had in the last 40 years. The song itself, the title track, the Dark and Dirty Mile. Is probably one of the most well written songs I've ever heard, any genre. Um, I don't know why I thought to tell you that, but I did. There you go.
Yeah, I just recently saw him live for the first time, and they were fantastic. And
Yeah.
the one thing that I love about you is you have like a voice like Jamie Johnson, and like it's always sad to see, but like a big tree when like if they spike and wedge it, and that final crack, that sound of a tree falling, like your voice has that like just that thunder that I don't know what it is. It's just it has like that dark tone. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you like Marshall, but you like a little bit of like dark edge, you get an Orange Amp because that's the only way to get it. It's
No
just
doubt. Yeah. No,
and
that's true. And no, I appreciate that. I know what you're saying because I remember being a younger singer wanting to be able to do the things that the deeper voice guys did. You know, and you said Jamie Johnson. Jamie's a few years, you know, older than me, but not much. But, you know, he kind of came from the same kind of guys. He loved those guys that could really dip down there and get it and come bring it back up and, you know, kind of get that thunder thing happening. Um, and, you know, just tracing your lineage back, you know, guys like me that came from, you know, Merle Haggard's and Lefty Frizzell's and, you know, that style of singing, that baritone. You know, Randy Travis was one of the best to ever do that type of booming kind of thing. You know.
yeah, that's cool to hear you do that. But it's been an hour if you have to roll.
Man, you know, I got a couple minutes. Our photographer T Stub, he travels with us. He's been on the road with me for 2 years. He just drove up from Austin. I got to do some. I got to do some promo headshots here in about 30 minutes. We're gonna do. I gotta put a coat on and do some promo shots for the Lefty Frizzell record. But yeah, man, hit me with a couple more if you got them, or
All
if
right.
there's anything else you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I guess I got like the Cody Jinks. Why do I know this kind of like how you used to do? I found some
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I said one of the questions: if you could rewrite the soundtrack of any movie using only your songs, do you have a movie you would pick?
Mm. It'd probably be a western. I'd have to say, probably. I don't know what it would be. I'd say it'd be a Clint Eastwood movie, Clint
Clint
Eastwood
Eastwood.
western. I can narrow it down that far.
Yeah, that's cool. And this one was interesting. This one might even be hard. If you, if you could take a 1 day vacation into one of your own songs, which one would it be?
Oh, a lot of my songs are trying to get away from where I was.
Yeah.
You know, I'm. I have a song on my 30, the record 30, called "Glad to Say," and it's just a song about everything being all right for just like a day. Um, you know, the whole world smiles when a child is born. You know, I don't miss smoking cigarettes. Um, you know, like just all these things, you know, just a few things I'd be glad to say. Um, just a day of everything just being copacetic and cool, man, you know,
Yeah.
without everybody being pissed off or in a frenzy or ruffled up.
Yeah. That's a good answer. But I always like this one because you asked Adam Hood, do you believe in ghosts?
I have a tattoo on my leg of a song that me and Adam Hood and Brian Martin and Jake Worthington wrote together. I don't know if you can see. I have shorts on. I don't have pants on, but there's probably can't see it very well. It's a Zippo lighter with a skull coming out at the top of the flames at, and it says a few more ghosts. And it's a song that we wrote about ghosts and demons. And Adam, and actually Adam and I are, I would consider Adam a really good friend. Adam actually helped me get into therapy. That's kind of a side note there. But, Adam quit drinking before I quit drinking. So we have a lot of the same, he's a few years older than me. So we have a lot of the same things in life. But, that ghost thing, it's because, he's a Southern boy. And, I think there's a whole lot of things going on around us we can't see, man.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have a few more ghosts because that's what Brian was saying. The song he goes, man, he goes, the ghosts don't bother me. He goes, it's the demons, man. I don't, and I'm kind of like that too. Like, man, the ghosts don't bother me, man. It's those demons. They mess with me pretty good.
Yeah, the ones that can influence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You guys all write together.
Well, when you have some of the best songwriters in the business as your friends, it's how can you not write together?
Yeah, that's true.
I love to be the guy at the table that's probably the not best songwriter there because I get to write with these guys and they're some of the best, man. They really are. It's a privilege to work with guys like that and to be able to dive into really deep subject matter. Like I am with those guys. Adam specifically and I wrote a title track to one of my records called Mercy.
Mercy.
It's talking about, how basically, in the song he's talking about his wife, I'm talking about my wife in the song and what they've had to do in the years that, being married to us,
Yeah.
which is not easy. So being able to write a love song like that and then being able to, to get really dark, really, really dark, which is what we did on A Few More Ghosts. That song's, it's nightmares and it goes pretty deep, but yeah, man, you got to get those out.
Yeah. That I love talking to Adam. He is so nice. I like his song. I'll sing about my own. And I was
That's
like,
one
man,
of
that
my
was
favorite songs. Yeah, it's one of
yeah.
my
And I'll
favorite
tell
songs.
him, yeah, and I'll tell him, I was like, dude, that's a great song. Like you're just giving the big old finger to Then he goes, no, 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 now, like. But how he's like, no, that was before, and I'm
Yeah, because
just
that
how
song
he's
came
so
out, I think, in like 2011. But I talked to him last week, 2 weeks ago, and actually he was one of my guests on that show I was talking about, and I
Mhm.
talked about that song specifically. And he wrote that song and released that song back in I think in 2011, and yeah,
in a nice way how he talks
he
about it.
did a great job on that song. I'll
Yeah,
tell you. Yeah.
yeah, and because I was like, I get that song. That's one of the songs I listened to and was like, that right there. That's exactly why I've avoided that side of the genre and love this side.
Yeah.
Because like Adam Hood, like if I was in a car and I didn't know anybody's background, Adam Hood would definitely be an artist I could put on and really think everybody could be happy.
Well, we've talked about this too. Adam's a honky tonker too. So we kind of cut from, even though, his music's got a lot more of that Alabama groove to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're still both honky tonkers at our core. And even though our music sounds different, but so I love writing them. I've got two songs that, if you could listen to the whole last record I did, the Change the Game record, if you know Adam as a writer, it's not hard to figure out which two songs he's on, because it sounds like, musically, it sounds like an Adam, type of thing. It just happens to fit in with what we do, because we are so similar. Um, he has a song. He has a song that he wrote with Jason Eady called "Downturn," and it's one of those songs. I've told him and Jason both that I don't know if I say I could have written that song or should have written that song or wished I would have written that song, or that, that's one that, that song's about me, and that's what we do as songwriters, because people come up to those guys and say, that song you wrote, that's about me, and that's one that when they wrote that song and released it. And Adam has several songs, as does Jason, where, that's kind of like, that song's about me, but that's probably my favorite song that he's been a part of. Just that opening line about, the wife coming in to check on him and just, I know you're coming to check on me to see if I'm all right, and all of our wives have done that because, we're kind of volatile people. We go up and down as artists and whatnot. And just the whole, this, talk about running in circles and chasing your tail and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm just a brilliant writer. It's just fun to write with my friends because, being able to write a beautiful love song and then, write a song about the nightmares, being trapped in your own head. It's the human condition. The duality of man is I've got angels on this side and got the scary demon guy on that side, man. It's like that for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, the constant struggle.
Yeah, it's every day, man. It's a paradox. It's light and dark. Are you the black wolf that day or the white wolf? And that's everybody. That's everybody every morning getting out of bed.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I don't want to hold you up.
Yeah, I probably better go because I know he wants me to put a coat on, like a black coat, and get the sun right, because now the sun's coming in right here. It's the right time of
Yeah.
day. So I probably better go start snapping some photographs before I lose the desire to.
Yeah. Oh, well, dude, thank you so much for jumping on. It was great talking to you.
Absolutely. No, we'll have to do it again sometime, and I'll get on and see. Oftentimes I don't just get to talk about music, because people are, this and that, but yeah, talking about, especially about two favorite kinds, country and metal, man. Like that's the,
Yeah.
anytime, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Cody.
All right. Hey, take care. I'm going to go take some pictures. I'm going to go comb my beard out.
All right, man. Well, yeah, enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, buddy. Be good.
All right. See you, bud.